Hello and welcome to the Walking Talking Topic Multi-Mark Week 1 question number 2 with me, Mr. Barton. Now this is an example of the kind of weird question you often find in GCSE that a lot of students are tempted to leave out just because it's a load of hassle reading it and trying to figure out what's going on. And to be honest with you, I don't blame you, but if you get your head around this and just take it step by step, it's not actually that bad. So let's have a look what's going on here. A chemical factory makes a liquid that is used in the production of a waterproof fabric. A cylindrical tank is used to collect the liquid made in the factory. Now here comes the big bits. The moment the tank is full, it starts to empty the liquid into a tanker in readiness for delivery. This process is continuous during the week, but the production stops at weekends for maintenance. Now it's in bold, so it's probably going to be important later on. The graph shows the process of the tank being filled and emptied. Now let's just have a look at this graph and just get our head around it. My strong advice is whenever you get a graph, always have a look what's on the x-axis and what's on the y-axis. So on the x-axis we've got time in hours, starting at 0, going to 5. And on the y-axis we've got the depth in liquid in the tank in meters. So at the start there's no liquid in the tank, and then after 3 hours it seems to go up to 6 meters in the tank, and then from 3 to 5 hours the depth of liquid seems to decrease, suggesting to me that the tank is emptying. So let's have a look if that's going to help us during these questions. What is the depth of liquid in the tank 2.5 hours into the process? So hours are along the x-axis. Let's go to 2.5 and let's be really careful how we read this. 2.5 hours into the process. Now I'm going to be really precise here because I want to make sure I get my marks. So I'm going to draw that line up at 2.5 and I'm going to see where it hits and I'm going to go across. And because this graph has been drawn by a computer, you've got to be dead precise. So that to me looks exactly halfway between that point and that point. Well, that's got to be 5 meters. That's got to be 6 meters. So I think it's exactly 5.5 meters or 5.5 meters. 1 mark. Now what about this? How long in minutes does it take to half fill the cylindrical tank? Well, it's 6 meters to fill it, so half of that is 3 meters. So again, let's get me ruler out here and see where it hits. Now it's hit that exactly 1 square after the halfway point. So the halfway point between 0 and 1 hours must be 30 minutes. And then 1 square, what's that worth? Well, there are 5 squares representing this 30 minutes. So if there's 5 squares representing 30 minutes, I think each of those squares must be 6 minutes. So in total, I'm going for 36 minutes to half fill the tank. Well, there's your gentle warm-up, and now it all starts kicking off when we get onto part C. The tank is left empty over the weekend. Yep, we knew that from the start. Perfect. The continuous process starts each Monday at 7 o'clock by filling the tank, and that's 7 in the morning, 0700 hours. The process of filling and emptying continues until shutdown on Friday. Explain what is happening at 8 o'clock p.m. on Monday, giving the depth of the liquid in the tank. Right, well, let's look back at our graph. This process seems to repeat itself every 5 hours because it says it's continuous. So it starts at 7 in the morning, so that's 700 hours. What time does it finish? Well, that's 5 hours after that, so that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 7 till 12 o'clock, that's kind of one cycle of this process. Then it's going to start up again exactly at 12 o'clock. There's no rest for this machine, and it's going to go through another 5 hours. So that's 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to go through to 5 o'clock or 1700 hours. That's 2 cycles. And the question says, what's going on at 8 o'clock? Well, the third cycle is going to start at 5, and it's going to run straight through to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which I think is 2200 hours. So 8 o'clock falls somewhere in the middle of this cycle. How far does it fall into this cycle? Well, if that's 5 o'clock and that's 8 o'clock, it seems to fall 3 hours into the third cycle. So let's have a look what's going on 3 hours into the cycle. So there's the start of the third cycle, 3 hours in, and the depth of the liquid is there. It's when the tank is at its fullest. So I'm going to say tank is 6 meters full. Full up completely with water. And that's not too bad. As long as you take your time and just think what the question's asking, that's actually alright. But wait till you see this question. This is where it's all kicking off. The process has to shut down with the tank empty as soon after, but not before, 7 p.m. on a Friday. At what time should the process shut down on a Friday? Right, so it's got to shut down after 7 o'clock. So let's see where it's at 7 o'clock on a Friday. The problem is, of course, this thing starts at 7 in the morning on a Monday, and it's continuous. It runs throughout the night. So I think what's going to be helpful is to work out how many hours there are between Monday at 7 o'clock to Friday. And to make life easy, let's go Friday 7 in the morning, because if we get that, we can then just add on 12 hours to get to 7 at night. So Monday to Friday, well, I think that's 4 complete days. So that's 4 days. And in each day, there are 24 hours. And 4 lots of 24, if my maths is right, and let's just assume this is a non-calculator just to push ourselves, I think that's 96 hours. So it's taken 96 hours to get to Friday 7 in the morning. Well, now we need to get to Friday 1900 hours, or 7 p.m. So we're going to need to take our 96 hours and add on another 12 hours. And that's going to give us, if my maths is right, 108 hours. So this process is going to be running for 108 hours. Now the question is, of course, how far through its cycle has it got after 108 hours? Well, each cycle, as we know from our graph, each cycle is equal to 5 hours. So, how many cycles has it got through in 108 hours? Well, 5's quite a nice number to work with. 20 cycles, 20 lots of 5 would be 25s or 100. 21 cycles would be 21 lots of 5 hours, which I think, again, if my maths is right, is going to be 105 hours. So after 105 hours, it's completed its 21st cycle. So it starts its 22nd cycle, it starts it at the 105th hour. So, when it's 108 hours gone, it's 3 hours into its 22nd cycle. So the question, of course, is, when's it going to finish? When's this process going to shut down? Well, it's got 2 hours to go, because every single cycle is 5 hours. And 2 hours after 7 o'clock on a Friday, I think, is 9 o'clock on Friday evening. So this process is going to shut down 9 o'clock Friday evening. And that is a well-earned load of marks for that.